So then he said, "That's tax evasion." Fine dining. Only for the upper echelon of society. Why are my portions so small? Why is there a hydraulic press on my table? Is the Michelin man an alcoholic? All will be revealed in this video. So let's start with the basics. What makes fine dining fine dining? Well, for that we need to travel back in time to 18th century France, where this guy,
Monsieur Boulanger,
whose name I cannot pronounce, opened up the first restaurant to offer the a la carte menu, which is basically a fancy French way of saying pick whatever the fuck you like. Oh, and side note, his name translates to baker, and I'll let you take a stab at guessing what he sold at his restaurant. He sold restorative soups, which is where the word for restaurants came from. In any case, if you're anything like me and thought to yourself, so what did people do before they could order anything off the menu? And giggled to yourself as you thought, I don't know, maybe they ate shit off the ground or something. There might have been some truth to that, because everyone in France was poor. The French government spent all of France's money in expensive wars. There wasn't enough food for everyone because of bad crop harvests, and the nobles who had all the power taxed the shit out of the general public. This caused what historians would call a severe economic crisis, which is more commonly known now as an oh shit situation. So then what happened? Well, the French Revolution. Let me give you a quick rundown. People poor because rich people used all their money. Poor people mad at rich people for being too rich. Poor people revolt and cut rich people's heads off. Poor people happy, France is saved. Except, not everyone was happy. All the chefs that previously served the high courts and the monarchy found themselves jobless, which is a sentiment I'm sure you can all relate to. And they all had a meeting, and came up with the bright idea to use their talents to bring the food for the royals to the general public. But amongst all these chefs was a guy named
Antoine Bevillier,
who opened what's considered the first fine dining restaurant ever. But wait, you haven't explained the difference between what dining and fine dining is. Okay, just give me a second, I'm getting there. So fine dining is more or less categorized by 6 different criterias. The first one being high quality ingredients. Some restaurants buy the most expensive ingredients possible and call it a day, while others decide that they're better than them and choose to source local and seasonal ingredients. Partly because it's more sustainable that way, and they want their guests to try the local produce when they're at their best, and partly because they literally have no other choice than to do so. Number 2. Innovative cooking techniques. So there are way too many cooking techniques for me to list, so I've prepared a few of my favorite ones, and my personal definitions for all of them. Sous vide. Putting food in a bag and boiling it at lukewarm water. Fermentation. Controlled rotting. Smoking. Burning wood makes food taste like that wood. Molecular gastronomy. Using science to make food look like anything but what it actually is. The duck press. Putting a cooked duck under a table-sized hydraulic press and squeezing the juices out of it. Flambe. Setting fire to food and jump-scaring guests. So the third criteria is the presentation of the dish. Now fancy restaurants often get a lot of flack for their portions being small, but just like in the bedroom, what's lacking in size is made up in volume, because even though each course might look small, you'll get 15 more of these little shits, and that's after you scoff down a whole basket of bread topped with the butter from the teats of some cow in France. Number 4. Top-notch service. The service staff's main job in a fine dining restaurant is to make sure your entire dining experience is perfect. Right from when you step foot into the restaurant, to when you take your first and last bite, and down to when your legs give out after realizing how much your meal was. Number 5. Purposefully curated menus. Every course should complement the next, and create an overall impression that the chef actually knows what he's doing. Some restaurants opt for a mix between an a la carte menu and a fixed menu, while others only offer a fixed course menu, eliminating any choice of free will. And the final criteria is the ambiance. You get the general gist of how this works by now. The space that you dine in plays into how the chef wants your overall dining experience to be like. Personally, the biggest criteria that I look for in a fine dining restaurant is whether or not the toilets have nice smelling soaps. Anyway, speaking of ambiguous criteria, let's now talk about the Michelin Man. So receiving a Michelin star is considered the most prestigious award that any restaurant can achieve. Wait, Michelin, the tire company? That's right, the tire company. As a way to boost their car and tire sales, Michelin created a guide in the form of a little red book. Nope, not that one. It was a way to help travelers with their long journeys. In 1926, Michelin started giving out 1 star to restaurants they deemed as fine dining establishments. But then someone realized, how do we capture the nuances of all the restaurants that were awarded 1 star? He said in French, of course. So a couple years later, they expanded to the 3-star system that we see today. with 1 star given to a restaurant with high quality cooking, 2 stars given to a restaurant that's worth a detour on your journey, and finally 3 stars given to exceptional cuisine that's worth a special journey. Now even getting one of these stars is not easy. Most notably shows like The Bear, Burnt, and Boiling Point, all featuring alcoholics, drug addicts, and white men who can chop vegetables really fast, give people a glimpse of how stressful it is to actually work at a Michelin level kitchen. So Michelin has had a few critiques over the years, especially from the chefs themselves, because many feel that adhering to the strict criteria of a standardized body ruins the artistry behind cooking. One famous example of this would be when 3-star Michelin chef Marco Pierre White, mentor to none other than your favorite angry British man Gordon Ramsay, quit his restaurant and basically said, "Fuck you, game's rigged, you've never stood behind the kitchen, you're all trash." Anyways, some fun facts about the Michelin. A poster of the Michelin mascot in 1898 looked like this, and is described to have, quote, "the character's glass filled with nails and broken glass, implying that Michelin tires will easily take on road hazards," with the phrase at the top of the poster saying, "Now is the time for drinking." Sadly, they decided to rebrand after someone realized that this could be a potential PR risk, so I thought it'd be a fun side project to make my own poster just to pay respects to the Michelin's origins. And here it is. What do you think? In 1991, Michelin sued an artist called Momus for their song titled Michelin Man, for, quote, depicting their mascot in scenarios of graphic nature. Let me read out a couple lyrics for you. "Pump it up if it ever goes limb. Pump it up, cause when he's hard and when he's big, he's the Michelin Man. Make him Zeppelin big, and he'll bump you till your bed's just junk." Profound. In any case, if there's anything you're going to take away from this video, just remember that cutlery used first are placed on the outside, table napkins go on the lap, fingers go into this bowl, and kidneys go into the bag.